Hello, BillWhittle.com members and non-members alike. It's time for our traditional Thunder Round. I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green. This is like the ultimate
thunder thumbnails
inside.
and Roman numerals.
Somebody's stealing my shtick.
This is the Roman numeral I, me. This is what I decided to do. I'm in charge here.
Love it.
Bear with us through the ultimate inside joke. If you're watching for the first time, we have a problem here because there were so many interesting news stories this week that I wanted to talk about that I just couldn't eliminate any of them. So I decided that we would talk about all of them at the same time instead of one topic like we normally do. And this is going to be a painful experience for Bill and Steve, obviously. And Steve, I want to start with you because there was a story. In what's it? DNYUZ.com. I don't even know what that means, but it's something like New York News or something like that. Year after year after year, surveys are done to determine which are the happiest countries. And like for 4 years in a row or something like that, Finland came in as the happiest country. And the Finns, this amuses them to no end because there was a running joke in Finland when the government mandated social distancing at a distance of 2 meters. The Finns' response was, hey, what's wrong with the old 4-meter standard?
That's beautiful. There is. I'm sorry. Were you not done?
They're generally known for being a little bit stoic, but I guess Steve, they polled 350,000 people in 95 different countries on this 10-point scale, and this is self-evaluation as happy. So, what do you think? And you can say whatever you want about the Finns, but what do you think are the ingredients that should result in bringing a country like, for example, the United States of America to the top of the happiness scale?
Well, in my case, there are two things. There's the political and the personal. And in the political, it's liberty. It's having the freedom to pursue your dreams, and whether you succeed or fail or just kind of manage along, it's still yours. You know it's yours because you're the one who did that. And I love liberty maybe for that reason more than any other. We've got our 10 years on this world, and that's it. There's no do-overs. I don't want to live somebody else's life or somebody else's vision of what my life is supposed to be. I want to live mine in this limited time that I have on this planet. So that's the political sphere. In the personal sphere, I just got to write about this morning on Tuesday morning on Insanity Rep for PJ Media, and it's family. We see so many of these stories in the news right now. In fact, there's a very famous trial going on in Minneapolis right now about a young man getting himself killed in a stupidly criminal situation. And almost all of these stories have one thing in common, and it's a broken family. It's a single mom. It's a fatherless household. And for me, on the personal side, happiness comes from being a dad who is a part of a family that is together all the time. Okay, yes, not literally all the time. Sometimes the kids are at school or Melissa and I are traveling or whatever it is. But to have that nuclear family unit to raise young boys in my case, or young boys, young girls, whatever it is, to become fully fledged, responsible adults capable of pursuing their own dreams when they're ready to flee the nest.
Bill Whittle. This is breaking news from here in Texas, and I just wanted to get your reaction to this. Texas Governor Greg Abbott does not have any substantial announced challenger yet for the gubernatorial run the next time around. However, in recent polling, he's got someone who's out ahead of him by 12 points, and that someone is Matthew McConaughey. And I just wanted to get your reaction, who is a Texan. Wanted to get your reaction to how you think a race between Matthew McConaughey and Greg Abbott would shape up, given the fact that McConaughey is not exactly enamored of either party. He's said things that both parties don't like him for. Would you like to see this guy get into the race? He's not announced, but would you like to see him get into the race? And if so, what do you think would happen?
Did you say McConaughey's up by 12 points?
12 points, allegedly, yes.
All right.
I knew it was coming.
Before I go on, I'd like to pick up the pace of the show. Steve Green says that we're all allotted 10 years, and I have 2 of those, so we're rapidly running out of time, so we're going to need to pick things up a little bit. Yeah, why not? I think, these kind of things are just kind of fun. It's like this old saw in politics about how if Joe Biden had run unopposed, he would have lost. This kind of thing. It's just a question of how low people's opinion of politics and politicians really is. And just to reflect back on the question you asked, Steve, if you ask what makes a country happy as opposed to an individual wants to be able to do what they want to do. But a country is happy based on to the degree that it is well governed. Are the roads being taken care of? And am I paying through the nose in order to get nothing, and so on and so on and so on? And because politicians generally make promises that they don't intend to keep, it's always interesting to watch one of them, even a popular one, come up against somebody who has nothing else to do but, sit in a convertible and hang out at the high school and, go, all right.
Can I throw in something about McConaughey?
Please. Yes.
Number one,
I like him
I
a
can think of any number of states that have had worse governors than McConaughey would probably be if he were elected.
Absolutely.
So I've got no problem.
We got one right
with
here.
That. The other is something my wife was just telling me just coincidentally a couple of weeks ago about McConaughey. You'll notice there was a lull in his career a few years ago. All he was getting offered was another failure to launch type romantic comedy, and he was sick of it. He's a better actor than that. So he just told his agent to reject all of this stuff. And as a result, this guy didn't work for 2 or 3 years, but he was smart with his money. So, he was able to keep living his kind of celebrity lifestyle. And he didn't take another script until it was a good script and a good movie and a dramatic role. I got a lot of respect for that guy. Texas could do a whole lot worse.
Smart with his money. Yeah, we could use him here.
Yeah, right.
Remaining in Texas, Stephen Green, George W. Bush, former president of the United States, now private citizen, also in his retirement followed in the footsteps of Winston Churchill and took up painting. After reading an essay by Churchill about the practice of painting, and thought that would be an interesting way to spend his time. And so now he's done quite a bit of painting, and he's gotten fairly good at it. He's about to release a new book of his paintings, and I believe the title of the book is called Out of Many, One. And it's paintings of immigrants and then their stories. And he's gotten a lot of attention because I believe it was CBS News, baited him into trying to intervene in the current debate that's going on about immigration across the country. And the former president is basically calling on both parties to tamp down the rhetoric about those things and to deal with immigration reform in a practical way that would actually provide a pathway to citizenship. Apparently his old plan never got consideration fully, but that is just, make them pay taxes, come out of the shadows, have a pathway to citizenship. What do you think of this? Is like the first president we've really had who's kind of not intentionally made political statements, but is creating art related to something that matters to him. I find this fascinating.
I really like it. First of all, I forgot to apologize for the noise. We're having demo work done on our kitchen today. And of course, they got here 4 hours late, and it's happening right when we're recording. So please excuse all the noise on my end. That said, my model for a former president would be Cincinnatus, who returned to his plow and retired completely from politics. This idea that was really established, I guess, by Bill Clinton, that what you do when you're out of office is peddle influence and get enormously wealthy. This is not healthy for a small L Republican form of government. Barack Obama, same story. Donald Trump had a lot of money before. He's got a lot of money now. He's going to be okay. And not only that, but if it turns out he actually was cheated out of the election, and we're not supposed to say that stuff or YouTube will squish us. So if that turns out to be the case, wink, then he should still be in the game. He is not yet retired from politics. So that said, I think George W. Bush is setting an absolute model for retiring from politics, from being out of the game. He actually is out of the game, and he's pursuing art. I don't think he's ever going to be a great artist, But that's not the point. The point is he's not establishing the Bush Global Foundation or anything like that to peddle influence and get rich while damaging the political and social fabric of this country like a Clinton or an Obama.
And Bill Whittle, for the final question here, I really want to keep it on the same topic because you in particular have an affinity for this idea of using art to connect to the culture and that being upstream from politics. What do you think of President Bush's approach here of retiring to his studio, essentially, and then periodically putting out a book of paintings and essentially letting the work speak for itself?
Well, seriously, with no disrespect to President Bush, I've seen a few of his paintings, and they're not bad. But George Bush is not going to be turning the art world upside down with his paintings. And to that degree, I'm completely in agreement with Steve in terms of, yes, this is what a retired president should do: is pursue his own activities and his own hobbies. What I find more interesting, frankly, is the connection that he had with Churchill and how Churchill inspired him to do it. There's many stories of Churchill who would maybe he'd go to the Tehran conference or something, and he would set aside a few hours. He'd be traveling around in his car and he said, "Oh my God, I have to paint this," and he'd just go out there and paint. And for Churchill, painting was Churchill was quite a good painter. Was a way to unburden himself and to clear his mind of the monumental responsibilities that rested on his shoulders. Now, you can make a pretty compelling case that no one ever had to bear more responsibility on this earth than Winston Churchill. But you can also make a compelling case that anybody who's ever been president of the United States of America, especially in the nuclear age, bears responsibilities and weights that we are incapable of conceiving. It consumes them. That's why presidents always look like they're 20 years older when they come out of office, 30 years older. So I just find it interesting that President Bush has found a way to essentially clear his mind of the responsibilities that he's had to bear, and the idea of him doing paintings about immigrants, I think, is. Look, the thing about painting is you get to do whatever you want, right? I mean, that's really the beautiful thing about painting. It comes right out of your head. You can do whatever you want to. And for George Bush to paint immigrants and tell the story of immigrants as American stories is as clear an indication of the mental state and the emotional makeup of George Bush as it's possible to get. And I think personally that book is that collection of paintings is going to be the single greatest defense against the charges of racism and Islamophobia and all the other phobias that were leveled against him so unfairly when he was president.
I encourage, and we'll provide a link to the interview that I believe it was CBS's Norah O'Donnell did with President Bush at his ranch, which is kind of like a retreat, is this vast Texas ranch. And there are just some priceless clips in that, including a moment where he was apparently telling a story to the assembled crew. The TV crew was there about how he remembers when he was president, and there would be some producer from New York who would be calling down to Washington and telling the reporter, "Hey, ask that son of a bitch this." Like, well, anyway, as he said that, Laura Bush, the former first lady, is standing behind him, and she's like, "George, they're recording." And it was just like such a real human moment, of this, despite the fact that he's been president of the United States and he owned a baseball team and he ran oil companies and all that kind of stuff. He's just a regular guy out at his Texas ranch and doesn't quite know when to talk and when not to talk. And his wife is just the sweetest thing. And then they went for a drive around the ranch in a golf cart. And so the former president is driving the golf cart. The reporter, Norah O'Donnell, is sitting next to him in the golf cart. And this is one hopped up golf cart. I mean, it's not really a golf cart. It's like one of these ATV things. And so
the Texas golf cart.
This is flying along these like dirt path driveway things. And they're being chased both by, I think, Secret Service and a crew that's in another one of these carts trying to video him at the same time. And at one point, there's a cameraman who's kind of hanging out of the cart that he's in, trying to get an angle on him. And he runs that camera into a tree as as he's going past it, and it knocks the camera out of whack. And afterward, they show him that he gets out of the cart and they're talking, and he said, honestly, I haven't been the driver in my own car since 1993. I haven't driven a car on the road since 1993. But it's just, I think that President Bush has really taken the right approach to a retired presidency. No matter what you thought of him, he when he left office because of the economy and because of the war and stuff like that, his approval rating was historically low, and it hasn't crushed him. And it hasn't made him feel like he's got to come back and justify himself. And as he says in the CBS News piece, he said, I just don't feel the need to be out there going, I'm important, listen to me. He took his hands off the wheels of the flying cart when he did that. He was like, and that's right. You're not important after you're president of the United States. I mean, we're still spending a bunch of money on you, but you had your day, you had your 4 years, your 8 years, or whatever. It's over now. Go back to your ranch, drive around in the cart, have a nice time with your wife, do some painting. And then finally, I just love his approach to when he does want to talk about something that's important to him, he doesn't just jabber about it. He pours his heart into his art and lets the art speak. And I think a coffee table book called, Out of the Many One, with paintings of immigrants and short stories about them, is going to have more impact than any policy tome that he could have released and tried to persuade people who disagree with him. I think people on both sides of the aisle are going to look at these paintings. They're going to make judgments about whether he's a good artist or a bad artist, but in any case, they're going to see who he's painting and the fact that he's devoted hours to painting them. And that speaks much louder than any political debate ever could. For Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members at BillWhittle.com for making Right Angle possible.